So tomorrow I start what I think is universally the most stressful but fun and definitely the most time-consuming part of medical school. And you can say that I am feeling just a wee bit nervous. So this video is going to be a little different than the ones that I usually make, less scripted, less edits, and more just me reflecting on my thoughts as I enter this next stage of my medical school career. And I may be putting out more videos like this, partly so that I can stay consistent with putting videos out for you guys, but also so that it can serve as a little bit of self-reflection for me. And hopefully for people who are preparing to do similar things or who are currently doing similar things, I can share some insight on some things I'm learning, some things that have been helpful for me, and probably, if I'm being honest, a whole lot of things that I'm struggling with. So that being said, I start my clerkship in literally 30 hours from when I'm recording this video. For those who are unaware, your clerkships are your core rotations in medical school where you go and you spend a certain amount of time, usually like 4 to 8 weeks, with a certain specialty. The common rotations are surgery, pediatrics, internal medicine, obstetrics and gynecology, psychiatry, neurology, and family medicine. And they serve as good opportunities for students to see where their interests and their personalities align most. Now, my first rotation is pediatrics, and I scheduled that intentionally because, I was thinking, since I did just have a child of my own, even though I'm coming into these experiences not really knowing much, I do know how to change a diaper at this point. Will that help me in my clerkship? I don't know. But maybe it'll make the transition into clerkships a bit easier. I don't know. But I do think regardless of the clerkship that you start with, it is very common to be nervous, especially with the first one, which I definitely am. But really, I think that's what I should be feeling. I'll be transitioning from the comforts of my office, where I've spent the last 2 years studying, to now transitioning into spending the vast majority of my time in a hospital taking care of patients. Because ultimately, that's that transition that we all want to make as medical students, right? Learning the things that we need to learn to take care of patients first, and then transitioning into the later stage of taking care of patients, and I am now transitioning to that later stage. That transition shouldn't be too comfortable, right? Because if we're getting ready to enter a stage of our lives where we're expecting to grow, we should also be expecting to feel a bit uncomfortable. And I think trying to think about it like that makes it a little less intimidating to experience the inevitable failures that I'm sure I'm gonna have at some point, probably various points. And really, I know the best way to grow is actually to be pushed to the point where you are experiencing some of those failures. It's that idea that if I spent the next year only reading a textbook, outside of fighting to stay awake, that wouldn't really challenge me much. And because of that, I probably wouldn't really grow much. Yeah, there's a super low chance of failure as long as I can keep my eyes open, but I'm not really gonna be that much better of a doctor because of that. And compare that to if I spent that entire year just straight performing surgeries. That would be too hard and very, very unethical, and I would only fail. But the most growth comes from when you're in that sweet spot between the two, and that means that, failing is actually part of the process. So that's the mindset that I'm coming into this experience with, trying to stay in that sweet spot, embracing all the lessons that I'm gonna learn from both the highs and the lows of this next year of clerkships. Now, I have done a few things to prepare for my first clerkship that I wanted to share in the case that it may resonate with you or help you in any way. Or if they make absolutely no sense at all and I should have done something completely different, I'll still have a few hours to read your recommendations on what I should have done in the comments. But first and foremost, I've taken these past couple of weeks really just to relax. I took step 1 about 3 weeks ago, and since then I have really been prioritizing rest. This has been great because I've essentially been a full-time dad to my son Kari while my wife Madison has returned to work, and the last thing that I want to do is start my clerkships feeling burnt out. Something else I did was get organized and create a space where I can write down expectations and goals for my clerkships, journal about my experiences, and really just keep everything organized in one central place. I'll be making a separate video on that and how I stay organized in a future video, so stay tuned for that. But the last thing that I did was just a wee bit of pre-studying. Essentially, I just unlocked a few Anki cards on certain pediatric conditions, developmental stages, etc. Because 1, I'm still going to have to take an exam at the end of each of my clerkships, and 2, even though I don't want to start feeling burnt out, I definitely also don't want to start feeling like I'm still on vacation. I'd honestly love to know what some of you guys have done to prepare for clerkships, so please leave any tips and pieces of advice in the comments below. But that's it for this video. I know it was a short one, but there will be many more kind of reflective videos sharing updates on this clerkship process as we progress. I hope that you did like it though, and if you found anything helpful or resonated with any of my feelings in any way, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, keep evolving, and I'll see you guys in the next one.